So the other night I was watching Avengers, and I thought about how great it was. Like, you get Iron Man and Captain America, and they're out there and they're doing all of this stuff to save humanity, save the world. And I got to thinking, they actually made a quick reference to who was going to clean up this giant mess that had been created. They had, saved the world, but they destroyed the city. And so whether it was against Ultron or Loki or whoever, it didn't even matter. It was just kind of the chaos and the garbage that had been created. And I got to thinking about, like, what a tough job to have to clean up the mess afterwards, to have to, like, show up after all these heroes had saved the world, and, like, what a thankless and, like, sad job. And then I thought, like, sometimes we get stuck in those jobs. I was thinking about maybe a moment that I've done that, and I was thinking about Vertigo, actually. Like, we throw such a fun, like, party where people can show up, celebrate, have a great time, and hear about Jesus, and then we walk outside. I don't know if you've ever noticed, most of the time you get to see the cleaned up version of that, but there is candy and popcorn and cotton candy on everything and stuck everywhere, and it's so funny to, like, think about how much fun we have, and then also think about the amount of garbage that we created. It's so wild, and then cleaning that up, it's not necessarily the most glamorous job. It's wild sometimes, the difference between something that's garbage and something that is value. It might not even be the way you think about it. Christmas is just around the corner, and I'm sure a lot of us are already starting to think, or if you haven't, maybe I just started that moment right here, where you're going to be thinking about what you want or what you could get for Christmas. We've all made lists before, and you kind of put those dream items up at the top. It might be a guitar or an Xbox or a new phone. I actually got the original iPhone when it first came out. I had made mention of wanting it, and a friend of mine got together with Aubrey. Aubrey had actually bought me the iPhone, and she had convinced my friend to trick me into getting it. And so I was driving to Disneyland, and halfway to Disneyland I get a phone call that says, "Come back to work." And I was like, I'm going to Disneyland, like, I'm not coming back to work. And so my friend is calling me and just keeps going, like, you have to come back to work, it's really important. And so I ended up getting mad at her on the phone, and I turned around and I go back to work, and as I walk into the office, Aubrey hands me a brand new iPhone. And it was that weird moment where, like, I didn't know if I should be mad or happy, because I was like, I'm missing Disneyland, but I have an iPhone. And so I enjoyed it. It was awesome. I was so happy. I gave Aubrey a hug and a kiss, and then time went on, and some time passed, and eventually that iPhone became irrelevant or unimportant. I actually still have it. I still have that original iPhone, and I picked it up the other day, and it feels like a giant brick. It's so big and so heavy, and it actually doesn't even turn on anymore. It's just garbage. It actually doesn't do anything. It's just a token of a moment that is kind of past and is long gone. We're in Philippians 3 right now, and Paul goes into this moment where he talks about his life and how he has accomplished and done so many things. He actually has the right to brag about who and what he is to anybody. And then he says some crazy parts. Halfway through Philippians 3, he talks about he counts all of it as lost. He brings up the fact that everything is garbage compared to knowing Christ. That's a pretty big statement. That's pretty powerful. Tonight in small groups, I want to challenge you guys to read through Philippians 3. Take a moment to take in what Paul's talking about as he brags about what he's done and what he's experienced, and then what it means to him that everything is garbage compared to knowing Christ. And then ask yourself this. Have you ever had something that when you got it was super awesome, but maybe now has no value to you? What's something that you had that is now garbage? And maybe you still keep it around, but maybe you don't. And then the second question. What do you think happened to Paul to make him see that everything was lost and a waste compared to knowing Jesus? That everything else should be considered garbage? And then the last question that I'd love for you to ask and talk about in your group is this something you think? Do you think everything is nothing compared to knowing Jesus? Why or why not? Where do you land on that? And what difference does it make in your life? Read Philippians 3.
Do it because I said so. Do it because that's how it's going to work. This isn't a small group to just do whatever you want. This is a small group to learn about Jesus. Can you get my whole face? So the other night I was watching Avengers, and I thought to myself,